Hola chicos, bienvenidos a la clase virtual, una clase en internet, ¿no? Something different to do with you all. So today we're actually going to learn los verbos reflexivos. Los verbos reflexivos. Super. And I am going to speak a little bit in English and Spanish, Spanglish, so that just to make sure that you understand everything correctly. All right, so los verbos reflexivos. What are the reflexive verbs? Reflexive verbs are verbs that reflect the action onto the subject. That means that they indicate whatever action the subject is doing, and the action falls on the subject. Okay? Por ejemplo, I'm going to have here a Paco. Okay? And a reflexive verb will be lavarse. This is considered a reflexive verb. And how do we know it's reflexive? There's different ways of figuring it out. One way is, notice we have the reflexive pronoun that is added to the verb, to the original verb, the infinitive verb. The infinitive verb is lavar, and we add the reflexive pronoun, which is se. So anytime you see a verb with a se in the end, that means it's a verbo reflexivo, all right? The verb lavar means to wash, but lavarse means to wash oneself. You see the difference between lavar and lavarse? All right, so lavarse is to wash oneself. So, of course, Paco has manos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has manos. Las manos grandes. Muy bien, perfecto. And so he washes his hands, right? So it's an action that he's doing, and the action is reflecting back on him, right? So he's washing his hands, he's doing the action, and obviously it's his hands, so it's reflecting back on the subject. Muy bien. Ahora, how do we conjugate these verbs? All right. So we're going to use the reflexive pronouns, which I am going to give you right now. Me, te, se, nos, os, se. Here are the reflexive pronouns. And of course, you have to use one depending on the subject. And then you're going to have your verbo conjugado. So don't forget that you still have to conjugate the original verb, the infinitive verb, according to the person that's doing. Por ejemplo, here, Paco se lava las manos. So Paco washes his hands. We use se lava because it's Paco and he's washing in the present tense. And you can do that in any tense you want. Por ejemplo, Paco se lavó las manos. All right? Paco se lavó las manos. You're using here the past tense, el pretérito. All right? So you can do it in any tense. Okay. I wash my hands, me lavo las manos. You wash your hands, te lavas las manos. We wash our hands, nos lavamos las manos. You see it? Perfecto. That's parte uno. All right, chicos, we are back to parte dos of verbos reflexivos. All right, so now we are going to look at the verbos reflexivos when we're using a compound verb and when we're using a participle verb. Por ejemplo, when you have two verbs like I need to brush my teeth. I need, necesito, to brush, cepillar. But remember that cepillar, lo siento, cepillar, not cepillar. Cepillar is to brush, but we're using it in the reflexive mode because I'm brushing my teeth. So, necesito cepillarme los dientes. Alright, so you have un verbo compuesto that I call verbos compuestos. When you have those verbos, necesito cepillarme. You know, you need to brush your teeth. All right, and you can have it both ways. You can have necesito cepillarme, adding the reflexive that corresponds with the subject. In this case, yo. Remember, you don't really need yo because necesito already indicates it's yo, and cepillarme already indicates it's yo. But you can have it if you want to. So, yo necesito cepillarme los dientes. I need to brush my teeth. You add in the reflexive according to the subject. And taran, what happens? You can also do it the other way. You can also say, me necesito cepillar los dientes. All right? Now you just have to remember that if you're using it on one side, you don't need to do it on the other way, on the other side. Okay? So you can choose when you have a verbo compuesto. Por ejemplo, voy a ducharme. You know? I just went for a run. I need to go shower. Voy a ducharme. I'm going to shower. Or, what else could you be? Me voy a duchar. It works both ways. All right. Muy bien. Voy a borrar. I'm giving you one more second to write it down. Perfecto. All right. Okay. Now there's only one more thing I would like you to know, and this is when we add acentos to the palabras. Por ejemplo, estoy duchándome. You know, if somebody asks, hey, profe or amiga, my friend, what are you up to? Oh, estoy duchándome. Don't bother me. I'm in the shower. I'm showering. Estoy duchándome. All right. What do you need to add to the word duchándome so that it has good stress? Un acento. ¿Dónde? Sobre la A. Duchándome. All right? And most of the time when you want to look at, you want to separate the syllables. Du, chan, do, me. All right? You cover when you add it and you go back those syllables, and in the second syllable from the back is where you add the acento. Por ejemplo, estoy cepillándome los dientes. I'm brushing my teeth. Cepillándome. Cepillándome. Cubrimos el reflexivo. 1, 2. Acento sobre la A. Cepillándome. Alright? So don't forget that when you have the presente progresivo, or mostly any progresivo, you're going to add the acento to make the stress look better. Okay? I'm going to give you some ejemplos so we can see if you can do them. And then hola amigos, de regreso otra vez. So, now we have some ejemplos that I would like you to write down in your cuaderno or your papel, so that you can figure it out if you can do them. All right, so all of these are actually reflexive verbs. So I gave you all reflexive verbs. I didn't make you decide if it's reflexive or not, all right? And so these first three, you need to add the reflexive pronoun. And these last two, you actually have to conjugate the verb in parentheses. Okay, so write them down, and we will check in just a few minutes. Bueno, vamos a checar. Ella maquilla en las mañanas. What pronoun are we going to use? Se. Muy bien. Ella se maquilla en las mañanas. Excelente. Nosotros ponemos el traje de baño. What pronoun are we going to use? Muy bien. Nos ponemos el traje de baño. Yo quedo en la casa. I'm staying at home. I stay at home. I'm not going out. Muy bien. Yo me quedo en la casa. En conversación, again, you don't really need your pronouns, ¿verdad? But in escritura, we don't really know who we're talking about if we don't have it, right? So it's good that we have it here. Muy bien. And it's not like a doble negativo in English. You could say, yo me quedo en la casa, and es perfectamente correcto. Muy bien. Ellos despertarse temprano. How would you conjugate it? Ellos, you need your reflexivo. Se. Despertarse, if you're using the present tense, you have to remember that despertarse has a stem change from E to IE. So ellos se despiertan temprano. All right? If you forgot about the E to EA, you're going to have to remember that in el presente, you have to keep the same conjugation. If you did it in the past tense, ellos se despertaron. And you remember you can do it in any tense. 2, con tu hermano, enojarse. You get mad with your brother. Tú te enojas con tu hermano. Muy bien. Perfecto. So I hope you are understanding a little bit of what the reflexives are all about, and you took notes, you understand it, and we can check back in class. All right. Ciao.